Welcome to another episode of Underneath the City Lights with Eddie Dynamite. I am your host, Eddie Dynamite, aka Ed Bradley of the streets. And we got a heavy one for y'all tonight, man. In a
Yes.
world where silence can be fatal and awareness is often decades too late, there arises a voice, steady, unshaken, and forged in the fires of community loss and purpose. This isn't just a man with a mission. This is a visionary who turned pain into policy and statistics into strategy. A man who did not wait for the system to show up, he became the system. He
Amen.
walked the neighborhoods, he rode the miles, he brought the message to barbershops, churches, and beauty salons where trust lives and truth can finally take root. Mr. William Battle, educator, warrior, and healer. He's made it his life calling to drag the truth about prostate health and health disparities into the light. As the president and founder of Emmanuel Health Education, he hasn't just preached wellness, he's built bridges where there were none, transforming stigmas into strength and communities into coalitions. From classrooms at Bowie State, from grassroots events to academic halls. His journey is a living lesson in what it means to care out loud, lead with love, and teach with fearless intent. The man before us today carries with him not just knowledge, but a
Amen.
burden, a purpose, and a legacy. Today, we don't just talk about community health, we talk with the man who reshaped it. This is more than an interview, this is a blueprint for change, a
Yes.
confrontation with truth, and a conversation that could save lives. Family, will y'all please welcome to the show, Mr. William Battle.
Thank you, good brother Eddie. And I love that piece where you say this is an interview for change, good brother,
Yes, sir.
because we definitely need to kind of look in terms of change when it comes to this issue. But thank you for having me, good brother.
Yes, sir.
And I'm so excited. I'm excited for being here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And for those who don't know, Mr. William Battle and my pops are fraternity brothers, Omega Psi Phi, those Q dogs. You know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
and
Give it up. Give it up.
yes, sir. And I definitely appreciate my pops, putting this together. Putting us together. Me and my
Yes.
pops, we talk all the time, and doing those half hour, hour and a half, 2 hour long conversations. We always kind of that piece to talk about health. You know what I'm saying? He
Mhm.
always, he's on me. Make sure you taking care of your health and taking care of yourself. So that's very important. So this is a full circle moment. I appreciate, what I'm saying, him linking this up most
Oh
definitely.
yeah. Yeah. Good
So
guy. Good guy.
so before we get started, Mr. Battle, can you give us a little brief rundown about your childhood, your upbringing, and about your education?
So thank you, Eddie. So Eddie, I grew up in Eastern North Carolina, a little town or a town called Rocky Mount, North Carolina, on the Edgecombe County side. Educated in the public school systems, whatnot, what have you. And as a kid, man, I always saw my mother involved in the community. She was always doing things in the community. Unbeknownst to me, uh, that would eventually become like a platform for me. And as I begin to grow older, I realized that that very same thing that I saw my mother do, and I was exposed to as a kid, became that very same model as it relates to my my energy in terms of giving back to the community. So I saw that at a very young age, and that just became a part of who I was growing up. And I didn't realize until I got older and realized my calling that really was had set the pace for me as a kid, and that just became a part of my life as I got older. It was all about giving back. It was all about, well, okay, so what am I here for, and what am I to be doing? And as I was exposed to certain things in my older years, this just became part of my journey. And so, but I grew up in a community where folks were always giving and sharing and caring and that kind of thing. So I saw that at a young age, and that just became, as I say, that just became a model for me as I got older. And I just kind of realized at some point with this particular issue here with prostate cancer, that would be my calling, man. So
Yes, sir.
that's where I am with it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that pretty much answered my next question. I was going to ask you, what was the moment where you felt like this was a pivotal change from you to go from your health education that you were already into to putting all your focus into this
So you know what, Eddie, I was at Bowie State University. I was at Bowie State University working on a grant. Actually, before the grant, I was asked to work on a grant by a mentor of mine, Dr. Cuba Bragg.
Mm-hmm.
And we worked on this project. It was called the National Minority Male Health Project. It was a 5 historically Black college collaborative between Bowie State, Morgan State University, Wilberforce University, Morgan Morehouse School of Medicine, and Lincoln University. We were funded through the Office of Minority Men's Health. And we actually were engaged with providing research and education in our communities and around our community, our campuses and whatnot. And working in the community is when I really got wind of the issue of prostate cancer in Prince George's County, one of the more affluent counties in the U.S., but we had some of the highest incidences of mortality. Well, the project ended in about 2013. I think I started around 2005, and it ended in 2013, which was a long time to be funded, by the way. And I was at such discord when the grant ended because we weren't able to get out in the community and to do work as we initially were. So I was actually sitting on my bed one evening and reading scripture, and God led me to when Jesus was born, he was named Emmanuel. And Emmanuel was meeting God before us. And at that point, I realized that God was sharing with me that would be my journey. It was actually an extension of the project that ended. And so that's kind of how Emmanuel really all came about. And we just coined Emmanuel Health Education Incorporated, meaning God has to be before us,
right, as
we move forward to kind of energize, engage, and have this conversation about and making changes with prostate cancer. That's kind of how it all started for me.
Right. Was it a family member or a community, any experience that kind of you had in the back of your mind while you were building this? I know you said you spoke about your mother earlier. Did you have any family member that may have had prostate cancer during that time, or may have had any issues with their prostate, or you didn't?
No, actually, I didn't. No one in my family has or have ever been diagnosed with prostate cancer. So it was, I guess the driving force for me, it was when I saw the numbers of African-American men in Prince George's County, Maryland. Now, there were 23 counties in the state of Maryland, right? Prince George's County, probably the more affluent, educated, income-wise, not only in Maryland, but also in the U.S. Of the 23 counties, Prince George's County had the highest incidences of mortality. In other words, incidences, I mean the number of men that are being diagnosed within a certain time, and mortality, the number of men that was dying from prostate cancer. And that just became a passion of mine. The project that I spoke of initially, it was about engaging programs, but it really wasn't an in-depth program where we did educating. And I felt that with Emmanuel Health, we need to engage education as one of the greater pillars of educating men about prostate cancer. And so that's kind of how it really started. And I would go around to whoever and whatever will let me talk about prostate cancer, man. I remember a fraternity brother of ours, I talked so much about prostate cancer to him. He told me, he said, "Well, if you say one more word to me about prostate cancer, man, I'm gonna hump you upside your head." But I mean, that was the message. It was a powerful message. When you look at the number of men that were dying from that, that were being diagnosed and dying from it, and not just prostate, not just Prince George's County, but I mean in the U.S. I mean, every area. When you look at the data, we tend to have the highest incidences of mortality. No matter where you are, no matter what state you are, African-American men globally in the U.S., our Caribbean brothers, our African brothers, we have the highest incidences of mortality than any other male racial group.
Yeah. So Yeah, I was going to tap into that, but right before we get into that, because you segued into a good thing when you were speaking about the places that you were going, and I was wondering because I saw that you held forums in barbershops, churches, salons. How do you identify these spaces, and what unique cultural dynamics make them powerful outreach locations when you go to these type of places?
Well, as a former shop owner, I knew the dynamics of a barbershop. I knew how powerful barbershops in terms of messaging.
Right.
So that was because I knew and had experience with that. That was one of the primary reasons why we kind of engaged barbershops, because we know men go there, we know men have conversations there,
Right.
and we know men kind of talk about things there more so than other areas. And so we like, well, why not set up these types of programs in the shops and barbershops and with beauty salons. Of course, women, they are significant others in terms of providing support for. So we set things up in these types of entities, man, and to get the messages out. And we've done education, we've done screening, but that was when we initially started our program. That was probably about 13 years ago when we initially started.
Right.
It has advanced so much more now.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So going back to what you were saying before, I just brought this up so they can get more of a visual of what you were talking about as far as the prostate cancer. I saw that it says over 118 countries. This prostate cancer is the number one.
Yeah, man.
That's serious right there. 118 countries.
Very, very serious, man. Very serious. And again, we black men or men of African descent, or let's say black men, no matter where you tend to look, we tend to have the highest incidences in mortality of prostate cancer. And that graph that you just showed there is just a huge indicator to how widespread this thing is, man. And the work that we have to do in terms of getting the message out and getting men to educate men, to get men screened and that sort of thing, man. It's a huge thing.
And for the people that you can't see the words because I know they're very small for some people, all the areas in the purple is what Mr. Battle's talking about. Places that have problems with prostate cancer. So this is the majority of the globe. You know what I'm saying? If you pay attention, that's very serious.
And at the top of the screen there, I don't know if they can see that at the top left, it says incidences. So what we're talking about here is the amount or the number of men that are being diagnosed at a specific time frame. I don't see what the year time frame here is, but this still gives you a great understanding of the amount of diagnosis.
Oh, this is 2025 too. This is 2025.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
wow! Yeah, I mean, look at this, man. It leads the numbers. It leads the numbers in terms of above all these other cancers. It leads the numbers in terms of incidences, and that just goes to show how widespread this is.
Yeah. Right. That's serious.
Yeah,
right?
Very serious. Yeah.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Your organization speaks about a philosophical application to health practices. So what does that mean in real terms for when you educate and engage these people that you go out and speak to?
Well, one of the things that when we're talking education, is we like for people to understand how it gets there. Right. Well, how does this happen? What is the mechanism of action that causes this prostate to impact men so much? So we like to talk about environmental things. For example, one huge thing is Agent Orange. Agent Orange was something that was exposed to the environment and Vietnam veterans, and and it was a chemical that was used to defoliate the jungle to keep American soldiers from being surprised by the Viet Cong. But what we're finding now is that a huge population of those men, because of being exposed to that environment, a huge population of those men are being diagnosed with prostate cancer. So what is it about this chemical that these men either inhale? It was in the water supply, it was in the air, it was in where they live, they accommodate. So what is it about this that chemical that is causing men to have this issue of prostate cancer? So we'd like to talk about the biological issues, how it impacts them biologically, how it gets in there, and how the possibility of it changing their DNA. And as a result of changing DNA, then they develop, cell mutation into tumors and possibly cancer. And so that's kind of where we are, the philosophical aspects of it. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Right. So, is it so dealing with those things, like you said, the Agent Orange and all of these different type of things that we know, that's behind the scenes that may cause cancer. I see you also focus on nutrition and disease prevention.
Yes.
So tell me what kind of nutrition can we eat? What is it? Is it our diet that can help us with the prostate cancer? What is the biggest contributor to this prostate cancer?
Well, one of the things I want to clarify, I want to say, there are multiple contributors.
Yes, sir.
Okay, there are multiple contributors, not just one. Diet is one. I mean, there are just certain things, and if we had a show where we were really getting detailed into, what is causing DNA changes that leads to cell mutation that leads to cancer, that's probably a whole nother show, man.
Yes, sir. Yes,
but diet is, I say there's multiple because diet, and research have shown that the implications from diet, environmental issues, like some of the very things I just mentioned about Agent Orange are some of the same chemicals in some of your lawn care chemicals. Okay. Some of the very same chemicals that were used, maybe not to maybe less to a lesser degree, but the reality is that the chemicals are still used.
Right.
And so when you put these chemicals on the lawn, let's just say it rains, and when it rains, it runs to the sewer and it goes from there and on and on and on. I mean, I know you've been around long enough that someone has treated their lawn with chemicals, and you can smell the chemicals.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
That comes out of it, So diet is one. Access to healthcare is another.
Right.
Some of us don't have access to healthcare. And then the issue of not wanting to know. Believe it or not, there's some men out there that just don't want to know.
Right.
They just don't want to know. They just don't want to know. And I said something to you earlier, and what I found over the years is that anything that can remotely impact a man sexually, they don't want to engage. They do not want to engage in the conversation.
Right, of course, right.
Because some men don't want to be known to have any issues in that department.
Right.
So they'd rather not discuss it with you. So access to healthcare, diet, environmental.
Right.
And there's just a laundry list that goes on when it comes to this thing, man. And I also think that we need to have a real good understanding of, well, how does these things apply to changes in that DNA? Because the DNA, man, tells us exactly who we are, everything about us. But what is it that causes the change to that? And when the change comes about, what causes the mutation, and that leads to cancer, and how does it find its way to the prostate? You know what I mean? I've got a extremely one of my colleagues. Actually, she's a consultant on my board. Her name is Dr. Denise Goosh. Oh wow, she is an extremely powerful woman. She's a radiologist oncologist, and she is 100% on board that no man should die from prostate cancer if you get yourself screened. And we got to get her on the show, man, because she is top notch when it comes to
most definitely. Like this the first of many conversations, because doing my research, this is a very, very serious situation. And one thing that confused me that I wanted to ask you, this is one of the first questions that I want to get to. I noticed in really our community, as far as the Black community, we are affected about it the most. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, they got all these different factors they can say. They say this and this. So to me, what is the most contributed? Like you said, you gave me the most contributing factor. But as far as our community, is it? I mean, yeah, you say, yeah, we have brothers that maybe don't want to know. We got all these different situations, but what really causes this in our community? Like, and it's not just the prostate cancer. I've also heard things like with the women with the fibroid tumors, all these type of things that affect our community. Why do you think it is?
You know, I'll be perfectly honest with you.
Mhm.
One of the bigger issues we have
Mhm.
is screening.
Mm. Mm.
Getting screened. Screening is looking for something before it happens.
Right. Right.
Getting men screened for this exam is the all-time challenge to some degree. Screening is, I think screening and education sits in the driver's seat. You know what I mean? I think the more educated men are, the more you know about it, the more you grow with it. And like I said to you earlier, even though you may not be within the guidelines in terms of getting screened, but you're never too young, I believe, to be educated about it. But screening is actually looking for something before it happens. And if we're not getting ourselves screened, we kind of take ourselves off that field of play, I do believe, and we allow things to happen to us. And that's with any kind of health. We allow things to happen to us that we could probably avoid. But, you know, survival rates for screening, man, are just, but you know that if you get screened and get screened early enough, survival rates are like 97 to 99% survival rates, man.
Right.
But that's a dilemma. You know, getting men to face the reality of getting screened. Some men have issues with the testing procedure.
Right.
You know, the digital rectal exam. You know, we have to. Man, you'd be amazed at how some guys are afraid to just give up blood. You know, once they see that needle, man, you know, they all munch until they see that needle. Once they see that needle, I mean, you know, they just turn into whatever. But the reality is, we have men that have issues with the testing process.
Right.
And then there are some issues with the testing process, like specificity in terms of measuring what it should measure. But the reality is, it's the testing process that we have. I mean, that's the gold standard. You know, the PSA, the blood test, and the digital rectal exam. And these are words coming from several urologists that I've had conversation with over the years. These are the gold standard testing procedures. Of course, there's other things out there as well, like MRI that can kind of show you really the size of the prostate and that kind of thing. But in terms of testing, you know, that's where we are. But that's the new things out there now.
Yeah, we definitely gonna get into that to both the old ways of tests and the PSA, definitely, because those are definitely things that the brothers need to know. You know what I'm saying? And everybody needs to know. But going back to what you were saying, it brought me to this question. So with you being a Black man and you going to these places, and like you said, 13, 14 years ago, that's when you were out, you first started hitting the barbershops, the beauty salons. I'm pretty sure, you know, you in colleges, you know, you in all labs, all type of places that I know you're speaking at now. So, but dealing with our community, going back with that, since we are affected the most, what cultural truths and sensitivities have guided you to build your trust with Black men and the families around prostate health? Because with you saying that, a lot of brothers don't want to discuss it, you know, because that is a private thing. You know, a lot of them. How have you built trust with those brothers, speaking those cultural truths and sensitivities to them?
So I think for me, man, I think the overarching thing for me is just I'm a Black man.
Right.
I look like us.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, we have a tendency to connect with someone that don't look like us.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier for me, and I've found over the years, it's a lot easier for me to be able to connect with key stakeholders of the community as opposed to, say, a Caucasian man.
Right.
And I think a lot of that goes back to trust. I don't want to bring the Tuskegee study into the conversation, but you know,
but you know what? I think that's necessary with the Tuskegee study,
yeah,
because during my study, I didn't mean to interrupt you,
yeah, go right ahead, yeah.
but just talking about this, that came into play with this, because I saw a 2020 interview you did, right, with Mayor Sandy Robinson
Okay.
of Rocky Mount, right,
Uh-huh.
and one thing that stuck out to me in that interview was when you were explaining the health disparities in our community, and I'm gonna be honest, he seemed like he sidestepped it, he was nonchalant about it,
Yeah.
and to me it was like, well, we got programs, they can just go to the doctor. He made a statement, it doesn't matter what color you are, men are hard-headed. To me, this is a blatant example of how our community is not even thought about, even considered when it came to health issues. So when you speaking about the Tuskegee Health Experiment, I have this book that I've been reading called Medical Apartheid. And it speaks about the dark history of medical experimentation on Black Americans from the colonial time to present. And it was a paragraph that stuck out, and I wanted to get your opinion on this when I had to go back through my books and read this, because I said I want to just get Mr. Battle's play on this. And it says this: despite their claims of unique expertise, the shoddy research that Southern physicians conducted into Black health consisted of an untested nucleus of mythology about the biological nature of Blacks, negative, visceral reactions to Blacks' appearance, historical writings, racial descriptions from antiquity, natural science endless and largest fictional catalogs of racial traits, and biblical interpretations all provided a framework for scientific and medical theories about Blacks. So did a blame the victim approach to the poor health of the enslaved. The scientific racist emphasis was not upon fact-based theories, logical methodologies, experimental data, control groups, and verification by replication. There were neither checks against accepting assumptions as facts, nor any test for confounding social factors. There certainly was no provision for removing ethnocentric bias. This science was the embodiment of ethnocentric bias. This science also served as a critical political purpose, for it provided a biological and ethical rationale for enslavement. Historical documents reveal that African Americans recognized this hazardous medical agenda and resisted when they could. Thus, medical abuse fed iatrobia, the fear and loathing many Black Americans harbor to this day toward the medical establishment. So, do you think because of also that fear, just going back to those times, that's also something that's embedded into our community? Because I'm from the South, right? And before your grandma gonna take you to see the doctor, physician, she gonna mix a little something up, little herbs, you know what I'm saying, get you together, bring you back, you know, before you even go, and not even necessarily just on just because of a money financial base. She gonna say this is the best thing for you. So do you think because of that mistrust and just because of the mistrust of our community of the other community, is that another big problem?
Oh, sure. First, let me say this, because I remember the interview with Sandy, and actually, Sandy was has always been a big supporter. His dad died from prostate cancer. Yeah, he lost his dad to prostate cancer, so it's very sentimental to him,
right?
In that regard, man. And but everything you just read, I mean, there's some truth to that. There's some very validity to that.
Right.
And one thing about research, I understand research, but I also understand how research can be skewed. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's nothing new, really.
Right.
When you want to keep people at bay, then especially when you don't understand how it all works. When you want to keep people at bay, you put things in front of them, they don't understand it. You're clueless.
Yeah, that's right.
You're just clueless. So yes, it's a part of our community. Yes, it's a part culturally. Yes, it's nothing new.
Right.
I would like to think that things have gotten better, and I would like to think that there are people out there that are more engaged with being, on board with doing the right thing in that regard. But the reality is, Eddie, there's a trust factor. I mean, a mistrust factor among us,
right?
And it has a historical, and there are historical aspects as a result of that.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you would look. This is 2025, and you would think things would be differently. Unfortunately, and some things are,
Yeah, right. Of
but
course.
but on a much larger scale, there are other things that are not, and I think it continues goes on, and we just have to kind of see it for what it is, man. You know, but certainly there's a mistrust. Um, you know, it's no look, it's no different than a brother walking down the sidewalk
Mm-hmm.
that has twists and dreads and a hood on his head, and a Caucasian person see them for the first time, and they walk across the street. I mean,
Right.
you know, that's no different than that kind of mistrust.
Right.
I mean, that's mistrust. I mean,
Yeah.
and
Right.
we have a tendency. One of the things that I found in the community over the years, I found that we tend to trust more especially when it comes to this.
Mm-hmm.
We trust those who look like us.
Right.
And for me, it's a very easy entrance into the Black community because I'm a Black man.
Right.
And it's a very easy conversation for me because we are diagnosed with it. Excuse me. We're diagnosed with it and we die more from it. So it's a very easy conversation for me
Mm-hmm. Right.
to just migrate into than maybe some other folks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so and that's kind of how it goes. So it's been very easy for me over the years, man. I just engage the conversation, and
Right.
we kind of take it from there. You know,
Right.
yeah.
Well, let's get into breaking down the resistance, like you were talking about earlier, because you're right. There's a lot of denial and fear about getting screened. So tell me about a
Yeah.
time, a real time, that you broken through those walls, like a
So
skeptic or resistant individual. You know what I'm saying? You that now is probably an advocate for what you're talking about. Because I know a lot of brothers. I know you ran into some hassles.
yeah. Oh Christ, man. You know, I should see this guy in my church, man. I did a program at my church years ago, and this particular guy, he was hesitant about getting screened. Bottom line is, I saw him probably about 2 years later. I said, "Hey, have you gotten screened?" Yeah, he still hadn't got screened, but I'm going to do it. But you know, but yeah, again, I think when I'm able to educate Black men about the issues of prostate cancer, data numbers speak, pictures speak, images have some type of language. And when I'm able to present these kinds of things to men and engage this conversation, I think there's a level of comfort
Mm-hmm.
between myself and other men. I think there's a level of comfort established. It's about establishing relationships, man.
Right.
Once you're able to establish a relationship with the man and have this kind of conversation, and you know, I think that the anxiety and the fear of, I think that it lessens the anxiety and the fear of when we're able to provide a comfortable platform to be able to have these kind of conversations. I think that plays a major role as well. And when we provide these kinds of things, men tend to kind of let the walls down and engage in conversations, and the testing procedures. The testing is easy. The screenings are easy. I've done several churches, and I did a church down here in Eastern North Carolina in Rocky Mount, and we got right down to the numbers, and I explained numbers to him and whatnot, happy relationships, whatnot, what have. But at the end of the day, man, we were getting men screened. And so when you provide an atmosphere, whatever it takes to make men feel comfortable, when you provide that type of atmosphere and they're open to it. And another thing I would say, if they've had personal experiences with it, you know, a grandfather,
Right.
a father, they're more engaged with getting themselves screened, because now we're talking about the possibility of a family history.
Mm.
And so now they want to know. Some want to know, but some don't want to know as well. Ed. So,
Right.
you know, and so we struggle with that in terms of motivating men to. But we got to continue the cause, brother. We got to continue to push the pencil. You know.
Yes, sir. So I want to give them more of a visual, because you know we a lot of brothers, I mean, whether they want to admit it or not, this is not the first time they heard this. You know what I'm saying? And even going to see their physician, I'm pretty sure they're telling them that also. So
Yeah.
so those that don't have a clear visual, I have a few slides, and I want you to take me through. And I actually pulled some of this right off your site,
Okay.
and I want you to take us through these different stages of the prostate cancer, so you can we can get a visual, and the brothers that have never seen this or don't know anything about this, they can see kind of what you mean on a real scale. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Nothing beats the visual, man. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what we got here, Ed, is visuals of the prostate, right? So what you'll see. Can you enlarge it a little bit? Can we enlarge it a little bit? Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Yeah. If not, it's okay. So you see the bladder, the bright kind of thing there with the hollow inside of it. That's actually the bladder that kind of houses your urine. And there you go. And right beneath, and this is a normal prostate. Right beneath, at the top, very top slide, right beneath, it said stage 1 prostate cancer, but the slide right beneath that. So what we're looking at, the bladder, and you see the little pink thing to the far left there is your semivesicles. Well, and then right beneath that, you'll see a normal prostate. One of the things that I want you to take a look at is the openings of the urethra right beneath the bladder. You see how it's open there?
Yes, sir.
It's open there, but to the immediate right, you have this little bright spot there.
Yeah, that's right. Right.
Yeah, that's actually stage 1 cancer. Little small, but it's contained. If you notice, it's contained inside of the prostate, right? It hasn't metastasized or spread anything. The urethra is still wide open and whatnot. So all of the openings, you have you have pretty good urine flow, consistent urine flow.
So this little spot, Mr. Battle, is this a tumor? Is it a cyst or a bump? I mean, is that little small?
Well, what this is showing here, in stage 1 prostate cancer, this is actually a little small cancer. Well, tumor is basically cancer, so this is basically cancer, but it's a very small bit of cancer that's in that lobe of the prostate. And if you notice, the significant thing about it being small is that it has not spread, nor is it having any kind of impact on the urethra. And when you get into your later stages, you'll see how it gets larger, and it decreases the opening of the prostate, of the urethra. So what you're seeing here in stage 2A, is you'll notice that the cancer has gotten larger. Now, you notice in the earlier slide it was small, but now it's gotten larger. Okay, it's gotten large. You see, it's grown from a little speck to a much larger, and pretty much in the slide beneath that, you see pretty much the same thing, but it's gotten even larger.
Right.
Yeah, it's gotten even larger, but it's still. But the good thing about it is still contained inside the prostate. It has not spread. And that and these are the reasons why we push the pencil in terms of getting screened, looking for something before it happens.
Right.
So,
Right.
Yeah. So it is still contained inside the prostate. However, and this stage here, stage 2B, where it has it has grown even further. And okay, it has grown even further. So
like it's on the whole side of the prostate, like covering almost the whole side on this.
Yeah, you see how it's growing. Yes, so actually, the prostate there's 4 different lobes to the prostate, right? So what you're seeing here is this particular cancer is still contained to the prostate, but it's in 2 different lobes of the prostate. 2 different sections. You can call it sections, lobe, whatever the case may be. But it's still contained. And if you notice, it has not spread beyond the prostate. So, but this also, these levels that you've seen here could also be engaged with different levels of treatment. You know, so once your urologist, once they diagnose this, then they'll do what's called a biopsy, and they'll take out pieces of the prostate, and they'll determine that what pieces are growing fast, and they'll give it a number called the Gleason score, and then they will engage with your treatment.
Yes, sir.
One of the things that I would point out to you here in stage 2C, now you see how it has totally consumed basically that side of the prostate, those two lobes, but it's also spreading to the very bottom left of the urethra. Can you see that?
Yes, sir. I see that.
That little white portion there.
I see it. I see it right there. Sir.
Yeah. So basically, what we're talking about is just a continuous spreading of this tumor throughout the prostate. And again, this is why screening is so important. So important. Is there another slide?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What's your other slide? Okay. So this is 3A. Now, I don't know if you can see it, Ed.
Let me go back. Okay.
Yeah. Now, if you look very closely to the inside of the urethra, now it's starting to expand or enlarge. To the cancer is starting to spread to such a degree. Now it's starting to impact the urethra. You can see there's a slight push as it expands. There's a slight push of the urethra inside. So now we're starting to kind of impact the urethra. And let me see your next slide.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now you see this thing has metastasized to outside of the prostate. On the far right there, you see it's metastasized outside of the prostate. You see that it's metastasized up to the bladder, the semivesical duct, and also the semivesicle, and it's working its way up. And typically, what you might start to kind of bit, and it's also spreading more within the urethra. So now a male may be starting to have urinary issues, maybe having challenges urinating frequently because you're not emptying the bladder, and just a series of things going on. So it may spread from the semivesicles, and it's going up, but it may even spread on up to your lymph nodes. So now we've got a process of this cancer spreading and impacting other organs in that previous slide. Yeah. And what we have here, the cancer had just consumed two lobes of the prostate. It's kind of spreading upward to the bladder. You can see where it's touching the bladder. Sure. At the bottom portion of the prostate, it's consumed all of that. It's also consuming the urethra. And so what you're starting to see, you'll see a collapse, not so much a collapse, but you'll see less of an opening in the urethra. Once you start seeing less of an opening in the urethra, men are going to start having urinary issues. You're not emptying the bladder totally. So the frequency and back and forth to the bathroom, it may be another symptom that men are having. And so this is what we're seeing here. So, and this stage here, again, it's totally consumed. It's just, although we have the different stages here, what we're talking about here is a continuous growth of the cancer in that prostate. And so it depends. And a lot of your treatment can depend on what level you are. Same thing. Spreading throughout the prostate, same process. You'll notice if you look at the very top, you see the lymph nodes.
Sure.
So you see how they're changing color. They were green, but now there's a yellow. So now it's spread to your lymph nodes. And so there's some spreading going on there. And I can even see a small tad bit. It looks like right here on the semivesicles where it spread a little bit. Quite a bit going on there in that. So what we're seeing here is what this is saying, how is it spread to other parts of the body? Because of those lymph nodes, it's just spreading upwards. And so, we're talking here. So it's totally metastasized. So it's spread outside the prostate. Now it's in the bones, lymph nodes.
And thing lymph nodes all the way in his neck.
Yeah, they're spreading upward. Yeah, distant lymph nodes. Yeah. So, Again, this is why education is so key. Men need to see this. Men need to know this. Men need to be engaged in screening. So it's quite a bit that we need to kind of be engaging men with this conversation with this prostate cancer, man. It is something else, brother.
Right.
It is.
I appreciate you taking us through those different stages. So us seeing all of this. So I mean, so talk to me. What's the first step that somebody's getting this education and they want to get screened and they want to make sure that they're straight, or just get checked out, just to get checked out. What would you say would their first step should be?
Well, typically, the guidelines for getting screened. If you're like 45 and you, let's say your granddad was diagnosed with it, you had an uncle that was diagnosed with it, that kind of makes you like a first generational person, male, that doesn't mean you may get prostate cancer, but it certainly increases the likelihood. So you definitely want to get yourself screened. Oh, if you're 40 and you've had that, your granddad or your uncle would not have, you want to go out and get yourself screened.
Right.
Or 45 typically is the guidelines that are used to determine when, particularly African American men, should be getting screened. And so, but outside of that, if you're 50 and if you haven't had any issues with your family, if you haven't had anyone that has been able to diagnose with it, no family history of it, then it's 50. But African American men, we should be we should be very attentive to the realities of getting ourselves screened before this.
I agree.
Absolutely. And I said to you earlier, even a younger African American male, you're never too young, I don't think, at a certain point to be educated about it. You may not be within the confines of, the guidelines of getting screened.
Right.
But it doesn't hurt to be educated about it, to know about it. Just by the mere fact that we're African American men kind of, raises a flag. Because we have such high numbers of issues with prostate cancer among us. And you're right there in the Charlotte area. I was looking at some data in the Mecklenburg County area where the numbers, the incidence and mortality are above the state average. And so there's some things going on down there in Mecklenburg as it relates to, I think the numbers were like 151 per 100,000 in terms of being diagnosed in Mecklenburg County, and about 124 in terms of mortality. And that's above the state. That's above the North Carolina state average in terms of numbers. And so there's some things going on down in Mecklenburg County, brother. Hey, we need to get busy with it, man.
Hey, what you just called out, that's even higher than the murder rate. Y'all hear that? That's real. You know what I'm saying? That's real. That's real right there. That's very real.
Yeah, there's some things going on
to think about. Yeah, right.
But again, no man should die from prostate cancer.
No, most definitely. No.
If you're getting screened early enough, we can. What I find is we can engage in a lot of things, man. The houses, the cars, the clothes, whatnot. But we don't pay that kind of attention to the body.
To the body, right? Exactly.
And unfortunately, this thing can get such a jump on us. If you're not getting screened, you're not getting yourself. It can get such a jump on you, man. That when if treatment is available, it may be very minimal in terms of the types of treatment, because this stuff can have such an advance on you.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
You know what I mean? And over the years, it's considered a chronic issue, but if you're not getting screened, I know some people that haven't gone to the doctor for over 10 years, man. Over 10 years for nothing. And found out he had prostate cancer. And it was in stage 4.
And if he would have caught it early, did the screening on the proper screening. So even touching to that, because that's a scary thing to think about. So my brothers, because I'm 45, so I'm right in that pocket, you know what I'm saying, really over the pocket, which you saying 40, that I need to get that. So I'm putting myself along with the brothers and sisters. This is something serious that we need to get checked. So this is a question from me and for the brothers that don't know, and the sisters that don't know, who have these husbands or boyfriends friends or brothers and sisters and fathers that have these same questions. Can you give me a rundown of the two types of tests? I know it's a test where the crazy, they putting these gloves on. That's the nightmare, you know what I'm saying, that the brothers
Yeah, that's the
talking
most
about, you know what I'm saying?
dreaded.
Right. And then the PSA test. But can you give us a breakdown of both of those tests, please, Mr. Battle?
So there's two standard or golden standard exams. It has been explained to me by urologists. First is the PSA, which is the specific prostate specific antigen PSA test, and typically, the doctors will take your blood. They'll take a little blood out from you, and they'll send the blood out to be tested. Typically, they rate. There's a hormone that they're looking for, a biomarker that they're looking for, and they give it a certain number from 0.0 to 0.4. Doesn't mean that it may be prostate cancer, but it could also be an indication that maybe the doctor may need to do a little bit more or advanced looking or diagnosing if in fact your numbers are above 4. I want to also say that, as we age, as men get older, your numbers may be, a little higher. Once again, it depends on each individual case because all men are different. Nothing is linear, the same. Every man is different. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it is cancer, but the engaging thing is to get screened and to know. Now that's the PSA exam. Also with the PSA exam, if the numbers are high, then some urologists may recommend a second screening, and if the numbers are very similar in terms of being high, then they may send you out to for a biopsy, where they take several pieces of the tissue out of the prostate, and they'll look at what's aggressive, what's non-aggressive, and they will compare the two. That gives you a number, which is called a Gleason score. And then from there, your doctor and yourself and an individual should be having conversations, informed decision-making about a treatment process. And another testing procedure is the digital rectal exam, where the doctor, what you're talking about, where the doctor inserts a glove, searches up the rectum to actually get a feel or touch of the prostate, okay? If you noticed on that on this slide, it showed the rectum, and they would insert the finger in the rectum, touching the prostate. For some reason, and this is what my colleague, Dr. Gushiel, she's like, one of the big reasons why the finger goes in and touch that part of the prostate is because they always tend to find the cancer in the upper lobe, anterior lobe prostate. Yeah, so they touch there, but also. It's the first introduction to the prostate, so you get to feel, whether if it's a spongy, should be like a soft, touchy, spongy type organ. If there's something rigid in there, once again, it may not be cancer, but it may be an indication for the doctor to kind of pursue things further as it relates to a diagnosis. So two gold standards: the PSA, the urine, the blood test, and the dreaded assume the position digital rectal exam.
Right. And so out of those two, what would you say is the I guess the most trustworthy out of those two?
Well, I'm going to say both, but I think because the blood test is looking for the blood test is actually giving you information about the a biomarker, the hormone in the blood, whereas the digital rectal exam, I believe, is maybe more of a truer touch, because you get to touch and you get to feel the prostate, you get to feel what it's like, as opposed to numbers from the blood. But let me share this, because I believe both exams should be given in tandem. You should be doing the blood test in addition, in combination with the digital rectal exam. But again, things have changed. It could be different. There was an organization out there called the United States Preventive Task Force and they based their findings on two tests, research studies, two studies that were done. One was done here in the U.S. and the other one was done over in Europe. And the sad part about it, and the studies that were done, there was very low representation of Black men, of men of color, in these studies. And so when they were doing these studies over in those areas, they had high representation of Caucasian men, and as a result of not having, I think we had about maybe 4 or 5% representation of Black men. So they based the studies, and they concluded the studies in saying, well, they gave the testing a grade D.
Mm.
A grade D basically was saying, because we don't have enough, we conclude we don't have enough numbers, we conclude that, it's not necessarily worth the benefit and the harm. So around COVID, a lot of testing wasn't done, and we started to see the numbers for prostate cancer numbers incline. But I would say, for any Black man, the numbers continuously say that we have the highest incidences of mortality. Even though over the years the research has said that the numbers have gone down,
right?
But we're still 2.5 times more likely to be diagnosed than any other male racial group. So when I hear that, I'm immediately saying to myself, I'm getting tested.
Yes, sir.
And I want both of the exams.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The PSA first, followed by the digital rectal exam. And again, things have changed. And so I'm gonna play it safe and try to cover all bridges,
right,
by getting myself tested. Yeah.
Yes,
wow.
Sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And
this is about it.
Yeah, and I pulled these statistics from the American Cancer Society while you were speaking. So everything is the battle telling y'all he's spot on. I mean, this is a man that's been doing this type of work for almost 20 years. You know what I'm saying? So he letting you know. I mean, you see right here, Black people have a lower five-year cancer survival rate than white people. Black people have higher cancer mortality rates than white people for most cancers. Black men have the largest decline in cancer mortality. Now, that was something that I found that was real, that was at least a shining light. You know what I mean? So would you say that was because of the screenings and the push in our communities more about prostate cancer and the more awareness?
Yeah, I would think awareness and screening, kind of has led to that. But again, when you look at the data, and I don't know this is the ACA, this is American Cancer Society, but you look at data from other sources, and I think I saw in one of your slides where we're still 2.5 times more likely to be diagnosed.
Yes, sir.
So even though there was a decline,
that's right,
we're still 2.5 times more likely to be diagnosed and die from it.
Right.
And it used to be years ago. It used to be ages. I think it was 50, 55, some number like that in terms of getting tested. Well, the reason why, and I try to get me to understand this, the reason why the numbers they changed the numbers to 40, 45 because they saw the incline at younger ages. So they moved it from 50, 55 to 40 to 45. Why do you think they did that?
Right.
There's a reason why that happened. They started seeing it earlier, in Black men, And here's the thing that I want to point out. I mentioned earlier about Agent Orange. So these guys that were in the Vietnam War that were exposed to Agent Orange, and now we're finding there's a huge population of Black men to be diagnosed with prostate cancer. Well, and I want guys to think about this. If a man goes over to Vietnam and he's normal, but he comes back from being exposed to Agent Orange, now he's abnormal. Let's just say, for example, he has a daughter or a son.
Right.
What is it that can be passed down through this prostate cancer from a male to a son? Because now we and it's just something to think about, because now we can go from being normal to being a hereditary thing.
Right.
So there's a lot out there when it comes to educating Ed. There's a lot out there, man. We've got to get out there.
Yes, sir.
And we got to get them to think about this and be educated, and also so that you can ask questions. So when you go to these doctors, you are making informed decisions about yourself.
Right.
And
Yes,
you're not just sitting there saying, "Oh, okay." You have no idea how many guys I know. I said, "Well, have you had PSA?" Yeah. Well, what are your scores? The doctor said I was good. So what does that say to you?
Right.
Because to me, it only says a 4-letter word. But what does that say to you in terms of your understanding what
right.
you just went through?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
man.
And that's another reason why I wanted to show the slides, because like I said, sometimes we hear the words, but seeing it sometimes, you know what I mean? And the way you broke it down, that's in layman's terms, that's really what we need to know. But I know that's because of your experience with dealing with our community. So that shows me, you did your work, and you out here speaking to the average man, and that's why I said that's the most important thing, because like I said, most of my brothers they'll hear the words PSA, digital right there. They dismissing that, you know what I mean? But you coming to them something real with understanding, because if we don't understand our bodies and know what's really going on, we're gonna continue to cycle over and over.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, tell you, education for me, education, it sits in the driver's seat. The more educated you are,
Yes,
the
sir.
more you know. The
Yes,
more
sir.
you know, the more comfortable you are. The more comfortable you are with this process, the more you may be willing to get yourself screened, man. You know,
Right.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I even saw that you started, like, you have like I know I see that you're a cyclist. So
Yeah.
with you being a cyclist, do you have other brothers that come out there? Because I know the exercise got to be something important too, to prevent to help you along with prostate cancer, or to even prevent problems with your prostate. So do you have a cycle crew that comes out? Do you have a certain day that you do this, or how often do you do these awareness rides?
Well, I'll share with you how this thing kind of started. And we held our first prostate cancer bike ride in Maryland in 2019. And then COVID came on board. My whole premise of that was, okay, African American men have the highest incidence of mortality of prostate cancer. And I read this article back in 2018, 19 that said that, well, in terms of cycling, African American men and women were the fastest growing racial groups in cycling. And so I said, well, you know what? I want to do something around what I know Black men are doing, and that I'm engaged in.
Right.
So that's kind of how it started, to initiate a prostate cancer bike ride. There was all other kind of rides going on, all other kind of things going on for this and for that, and breast cancer, whatnot, what have you. So I said, I'll do one for prostate cancer.
Yes, sir.
And we did our first one in 2019. COVID came on board. The numbers were high in Maryland. Bowie shut down. So I said, I'm going to pack up. I'm going to go down to North Carolina. The numbers were lower down here. And so I came home and I started riding. And I wasn't seeing a lot of cyclists like I was seeing in Maryland. I mean, everybody and their grandmother was cycling in Maryland, but I wasn't seeing the numbers down here like this. So I met with a couple of people and I said, hey, I'm going to put together a prostate cancer ride. So I met with the sheriff of Edgecombe County, Sheriff Clea Atkins down here. And he agreed and he supported what I was doing. Okay. Sandy and a few other folks. And so we kind of put it together, man. And it's all under the umbrella of prostate cancer. It has been a very successful event for us in North Carolina. Our first year, I think, our first initial event we had here, I think we had around 300 some odd cyclists. But we do the event annually. This past year was our 50, I believe it was. Fully supported by the Sheriff's Department down here, fully supported. Butterball is one of my sponsors. They provide turkeys. We make turkey barbecues so we can provide people with meals after the ride. Sam's Club has supported us tremendously. So this is a huge awareness campaign, and other organizations that have supported us down here, other people, without having to go through the whole run of the mill. But it has been quite successful for us, a huge awareness campaign. So we're not just cycling, but we have walkers and we have runners of prostate cancer. We didn't want to leave anyone out, of
Right.
course. So we want to kind of be inclusive with all of that, and it has been quite successful down here. The biggest thing that we've had over the last 2 years was the heat. That kind of was an issue for us down here. But other than that, it has been an awesome, awesome awareness campaign, and we are just excited about how it's going. This year we had typically we have it. We were starting from downtown Rocky Mount, but this year we were connected with a church down here called Thorns Chapel Missionary Baptist Church that was very kind enough to open up their doors and allow us to kind of host a ride from the church and
Right.
a family life center. We had people. It was so hot we had the women walking inside. We didn't want to expose them to the heat, but it was a great event. It was a great event, and we also host a prostate cancer gala as a fundraiser for us. We host that up in Maryland. Actually, this year it's going to be on September the 6th, the first Saturday of September. But we recognize veterans of prostate cancer. We recognize women of prostate cancer survivors and other community folks, and we give out awards. And so it's a very awesome, powerful awareness campaign about prostate cancer. So since we're nonprofited in North Carolina and nonprofited in Maryland, we have two major events in both areas to promote prostate cancer awareness, and we have been very truly blessed with, what we have. I got to say to you, man, I got the best board staff people that work with me that I can shake a stick at, man. They are so energized and supportive of what we do. I have an executive director. Her name is Dr. Akita Pearson. She is such a powerful female behind our efforts. And my treasurer, my secretary, just his wife, Miss Carrie Britt, and Andrea, my chaplain. We just have powerful people on board. Roger Clark and another brother, frat brother, Brother Robinson. We just have a powerful team of people.
Yes, sir.
That make things happen for what we do, man.
Well, let me ask you a question, Mr. Battle. You speaking upon the rise and the gala, have you ever tracked like the long term the metrics, like the increased screenings or early detection rates following these events that you have?
So certainly so when COVID came on board, we had to discontinue the one-on-one screenings, and we started giving people vouchers. Right. We had a relationship with LabCorp, and LabCorp would allow us to do the screenings at a very minimal price. And so we would give guys a voucher, and they would have 12 months to go to any LabCorp in any area and get the screening. But we've done thousands, man, of these screenings, and I venture to say, man, we've done so much. And it's not just this event, man. We do churches. And other local in municipalities, church groups. We've done. Oh wow, we've been to areas like Birmingham, Atlanta a couple of times, Cleveland. I think our last event was in Cleveland. That we would kind of like a show on the road, providing education. We were connected with some pharmaceutical company by the name of Dendreon. Dendreon created a medication called Provenge. Provenge it's a drug that's used to treat advanced stage prostate cancer, and it is based on immunotherapy, which is a whole nother conversation when it comes to actually one of the guys that I spoke with you about coming on your show. He's actually a 13-year prostate cancer survivor by way of immunotherapy. So we got to get him on the show, man, so he can share with you his journey, man.
Yes,
absolutely.
Sir. Yes, sir. Like I said, this is just the first part, because I want to definitely continue the discussion and bring the brother on, that's going through it, because that you right on point with it, Mr. Battle, because that segued me right into this about treatment after dealing with prostate cancer. So can you explain this type of thing? Because this is not nothing that we want to deal with, but we being real with this conversation. Like, so at the beginning, this is real. We having a real conversation tonight. So with these devices, is this something that we have to do after prostate cancer or having your prostate removed? Or these some things that you have to deal with?
Well, some men have to deal with it. I wouldn't say all. Some men have to deal with it because let's just be frank. There's life after prostate cancer, and some men that are married, they want to be, engaging with their significant others or their wives, and what we're seeing here. So the big thing here is is what these things are doing are increasing blood flow. Okay, increasing blood flow, because if we don't have blood going to certain organs, particularly the penis, after prostate cancer, then that can be, and then after prostate cancer surgery, there's some men are not able to perform as a result of having surgery, and you would be amazed at why some men. And when you have this conversation with some men, and when you talk these conversations, this can be a barrier to getting screened. But what we have here is a vacuum device, and what this thing does is really it's just trying to pull blood into the penis to kind of sustain an erection. And so you noticed in his look like his left hand there, he has like a suction cup.
Right.
And they use a suction cup to kind of pull blood into the penis, into there's these two like bladders on both sides of the penis that blood typically flows in that causes it to get erected. And they use this device here to kind of pull blood into it. And if you look right here, right around his mons pubis, out at the right beneath his testicles, there's this little orange-looking thing. That's a ring that they typically put on to try to keep the blood flowing and sustain an erection. With the injections, these are basically vasodilators, man. They inject the substance into what's you see what they say to the corpus. They inject the blood into that, really opening, causing it to vasodilate, and blood flows in there. And when the blood flows in there, they're able to sustain an erection. And so, and that's typically what these things are. But these are some of the things that men that are in place for men to engage a normal life after prostate cancer surgery or whatever the case may be. Because sometimes, when they have these surgeries, some things don't come out working as they were as before.
Right.
And so for some men to be able to deal with the psychological part, the stressful part of not being able to engage, these things are in place. And this needs to be just equally as much a part of the conversation, Eddie, as anything else, man, because there is life after prostate cancer.
Right.
And these things are in place for men to be able to engage life after prostate cancer, man. And I know a guy, we got to get him on your show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He had a penile implant, which is another device. He had a penile implant, and I won't get into his story nor his device. I'll let him share that with you. But good friend of mine, we laugh all the time. He has a penile implant, and which allows him to be active with his wife. Well, this guy used his penile implant so much that he had to get another implant because he wore his first one. he wore the first one out. Man, he was talking, he was telling me about that thing, and he was listening. He was telling me the numbers and this and
right.
Like I said, man, that sounds like some device from NASA. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what? You know what I'm saying?
He was able to keep rolling, though. You know.
Yeah. We got to get him on, man. He's very transparent, transparent about his story. But the reality is, I mean, that's his life now.
Yeah, that's right.
But he wants to be engaging with his wife in that degree. So he's very transparent about it, and he's a dynamite guy. Yes, dynamite guy, Eddie.
And I would love to have him on the show. And for those, we laughing, you know what I'm saying? We just having a humorous time. But but to be honest, you know what I'm saying, this is a life-saving thing for this brother to be able to even still be alive, let alone being able to still, like you say, have those intimate moments with his wife and that type of thing. So these are very, 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 very important things. And a lot of the main reason that we speaking from these platforms and on a lot of these things, because and let's pay attention now. But we got to pay attention to the current administration. You know, they pulling back a lot of money from
Mhm. Yeah,
public
man.
public speaking, public broadcasting, public situations and platforms where these type of things are the money that is used to be able to
Mhm.
spread more awareness about this.
Yeah.
So us as the black media and this and the other brothers that have these
Mhm.
podcasts and these other shows, we must take it upon ourselves, guys,
Yeah.
to take upon this
Mhm.
tackle these all of these things, not just the prostate cancer, the diabetes, the
Mhm.
high blood pressure, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? The mental situation
Mhm.
going on in
Yeah.
our community, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The brothers and sisters that the education problem that's going on with our young brothers and sisters,
Yeah, man.
the labor problem. We have to take that upon ourselves. We can't wait for and not into the main thing that we need to take away from the administration doing these types of things is
Mhm.
that this is our responsibility at the
Yeah,
end.
man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's why I had to have you on the show, Mr. Batter,
Mhm.
because you are a champion for this situation, and this is your life's work. So
Yeah.
this is very, very, very important, and we need more brothers like you, and we just appreciate just having a brother like you in our community, brother.
Well, thank you, and and I want to commend you, man, because you are a very instrumental voice of the community.
Yes,
Your podcasting is a powerful message channel,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
and so it's people like you that use your gift to inform the community.
Yes,
You
sir.
know,
Yes, sir.
so don't stop doing what you're doing because this is a powerful message channel.
I appreciate
And I've been to some areas, Eddie, in Eastern North Carolina, bro, that it's just so unfortunate. I mean,
it.
some people are 50, 60 miles away from a urologist, man.
Mm.
So the likelihood, if you don't have access to health care and you have transportation issues, the likelihood of you uh, dealing with that issue they're relatively small because of those kind of issues, man.
Right.
But what you do, you have your podcast that can reach people, man.
Yes, sir.
Social media, you got a powerful thing that you do here, brother. So I commend you, and I really thank your dad for just connecting us, man, to be able to make this happen. And you got something special going on here, and I just pray that you continue to push forward, run
Yes,
your race with your gift, man.
sir.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that, Mr. Battle. So if you could leave one lasting impact, policy, awareness, behavior change, what would you think that would be?
Well, I mean, I think there needs to be more funding for uh, situations like this. I think there needs funding made readily available for us to be able to kind of engage men for screening, and not only screening. And it's so unfortunate that, and you mentioned it earlier because one thing I think about is Medicaid being cut out. That's a form of healthcare for a lot of people.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
some
sir.
people are not going to be able to have access to this stuff, man. So funding to be able to get men screened and also to get men follow up because, it's one thing to get screened, but it's another, if something is diagnosed, then, treatment and follow up. And
Right,
that's key,
right.
you know, but,
Exactly.
but screening to me is the biggest concern. I mean, we should be looking at because if men aren't getting screened, then we don't know.
We don't
You
know.
know, we
Right.
don't know. Yeah.
Right.
So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, Mr. Battle, to me, your work is more than medical. It's spiritual, cultural, and communal. So
thank you.
what's your message to anyone that's listening who wants to make a difference in their community?
I think so. So we all have gifts and we all have talents, man. We do. I was just having a conversation with a friend about that today. We all have gifts and we all have talents, and it is my prayer that we are in contact with what our gifts and our talents with for the betterment of the community.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
I think each one teach one,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and we have these gifts and these talents to be able to make a difference. But the question is, are you in contact with it and are you using it? Are you a doer and not a hearer, or
Right.
are you a hearer and not a doer?
Right.
And that makes a world of difference, man. That makes a world of difference. And so it is just my prayer that, you know, we would kind of understand how that works and be a driving force in terms of making it better for our communities.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Great answer. Great answer. Well, I appreciate you coming through, Mr. Battle. I mean, like I said, this is the first of many discussions. I want to have you on the show, just like just not just dealing with just prostate cancer, just with like a lot of different health disparities in our community. Like I said, because the conversation continues. But I definitely appreciate you coming through and spending your busy time chopping it up with us. And like I do with every guest on the show, I'm gonna give you the last word.
Just bro, get screened. Get screened. Get screened. And I want to give a shout out to women, Eddie, who are a major catalyst for getting men to go to the doctor. Mm-hmm. You know, women and getting men to go to the doctor. You know, we look at situations and we're like, okay, well, it'll get better. Well, sometimes small situations go to large situations and we don't kind of deal with and take care of. But I want to give a shout out to women because you are very instrumental when it comes to getting men to the doctor. So all those women out there, get behind these men and get them, make sure they get screened, so as to avoid any of these long-time issues when it comes to this subject.
Most definitely. Hey, we appreciate the women. You know, they the backbone of our society. You know what I mean? So, like I said, once again, appreciate everything, Mr. Will, and I would love to continue the conversation again. So whenever you got some free time, I'd love for you to stop back by, bring that brother through. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Bring. What's the doctor friend said? What's her last name again? I don't want to mess up her last name.
Dr. Denise Gooch.
But Denise Gooch, please bring her through. We really love to hear her take on everything too. Like I said, because like you said, this is a constant through, and like I tell everybody when they come, they know what I'm about to say. This is a community. So the questions that I ask,
I like that,
and the questions I ask, and the answers that Mr. Battle gives, or anybody that comes out here, we all must learn from what's going on, because this is a learning tool. It's not for entertainment. You know what I'm saying? We here to end it. When we hang up from this, the brothers that haven't had a screen should be setting up a screen. You know what I'm saying? Or educating yourself more on where you can and get a hold of. Because me, myself, when we end this, that's going to be my first step. Go and get myself set up for a screen, so I can be an example to not just the family that's watching this, but my brothers and sisters and my people that I have. You know what I'm saying? Because we all must be an example to the next, because that's what will save us. You know, so like I said, once again, I appreciate you coming through, Mr. Battleman, and I'd love to see you again, brother.
Oh, absolutely. We will. I got some dynamic guys that are lined up for you. We got to get them on, man. And like I say to you, I sent you that text. I said, like Nike, let's do it.
Let's do it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you have a good evening, Mr. Battle.
Right.
I appreciate you.
Thank you very kindly, Ed. Appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.
Continue the good work.
Yes,
all right,
sir.
bye-bye.
Thank you. You too.